Hello friends, welcome to Bionomy. I'm back after a long time. I really apologize for delay. Today I'll be taking complementary DNA library synthesis. Before going into the topic, I want to explain what is complementary DNA and why is this word library associated with this complementary DNA. For this, I would like to show you a paragraph from Lodish Molecular Biology. As it states, DNA copies of mRNA is called complementary DNA or cDNA, and further it is given these cDNAs are synthesized and cloned into plasmid vectors. A large collection of the resulting complementary DNA clones representing all the mRNAs expressed in a cell type is called a complementary DNA library. There is one more definition. A large collection of the resulting complementary DNA clone representing all the mRNAs expressed in a cell type is known as complementary DNA library. Now I will explain the process of complementary DNA library synthesis. First, we have to isolate total mRNA from the cell type of tissue of interest. So here we are taking mRNA but not the genome, because DNA or we can say genome, it contains introns and intergenic regions, but mRNA which lack all these non-coding regions. So it is more useful for the starting material for generating a complementary DNA library. So here we are isolating mRNA from the cell of interest or the tissue of interest. So it is very easy to isolate mRNA from all other types of RNAs like tRNA or rRNA, as mRNA contains a poly A tail at 3' end. Now see, here you can see this is mRNA and it has a poly A tail at 3' end. Now we have to do is we have to add oligo D primer which binds to this poly A tail. Now arrives the reverse transcriptase enzyme, and this process is known as reverse transcription, where a complementary DNA is synthesized on this RNA structure. So here this reverse transcriptase is RNA dependent DNA polymerase which synthesizes this single strand of complementary DNA. Now what we do is we remove this RNA from this DNA RNA hybrid. After removing this RNA, we obtain a single stranded complementary DNA. We add a poly G tail at 3' end. This is the 5' end where oligo T was added. Now next step is we hybridize oligo C primer complementary to this oligo G structure. Now what happens here is a complementary strand is synthesized, and this is double stranded complementary DNA. Here we add one more thing. We protect complementary DNA by methylation at this restriction site. This methylation occurs at restriction site. So at this restriction site is used afterwards, and we don't want to cleave our DNA. That's why we are protecting our complementary DNA. Now we are adding a linker at both the sides of this complementary DNA. Now what is linker? Linkers are double-stranded DNA molecules which contain recognition site for a particular restriction enzyme. So here we are using DNA ligase from bacteriophage T4 to ligate this linker to our complementary DNA. As we all know, this type of ligase is very useful if we want to ligate any structure which has blunt ends. See, this linker has blunt end at both the sides, so we are using this type of DNA ligase. Now we are using a restriction enzyme. The same restriction enzyme whose restriction site is present at this linker structure, linker DNA. Now, this restriction enzyme cleaves the linker and produces sticky ends. So same process is being used here with the plasmid vector. This is the plasmid vector which has this ampicillin resistance gene which act as selectable marker. Now same restriction enzyme which was being used to cleave this linker structure is used here to cleave this plasmid vector. So here we get sticky ends and we use this vector to incorporate our complementary DNA, and here also we are using DNA ligase to ligate our complementary DNA to this plasmid. Now this whole structure is being transported, or we can say it is being transformed into E. coli cells. When this resulting structure is introduced into E. coli cells, they generate individual colonies. See, you can see these colonies here. These are the colonies of E. coli cells. So, and each colony carries a complementary DNA derived from a single mRNA. Now, how do we decide mRNA should be isolated from what type of cells? So, I'll show you another paragraph from Griffith, as it is being written that whether we choose to construct a genomic DNA library or a complementary DNA library depends on the situation. If we are seeking a specific gene that is active in a specific type of tissue in a plant or animal, then it makes sense to construct a complementary DNA library from a sample of that tissue. For example, suppose we want to identify complementary DNA corresponding to insulin mRNAs. Then this beta islet cells of pancreas are the most abundant source of insulin, and so mRNA from pancreas cells are the appropriate source of a complementary DNA library, because these mRNA should be enriched for the gene in question. So friends, this is all about complementary DNA library synthesis. I hope you all understood, and please subscribe to our channel Bionomy and keep watching our videos. I'll be taking very soon. Thank you for watching.